Can you define chivalry?
Okay, so my opinion of that is like opening doors, putting a woman first, like,
Opening a door for me, buying me flowers, just sweet stuff, the small stuff that's overlooked nowadays.
kind of an old school tradition, just like the men watching out for that woman's needs, basically, like, not kind of like putting us as equals and whatnot, because in my opinion, we're not equals. So I would rather just kind of be, taken care of, looked after, all that. But like at the same time, I can hold my own. But
Is chivalry a choice or an expectation?
That's a good
should be
question.
an expectation. but
It's
I
a
think
choice.
in most men, it's a choice, but I think it should be an expectation.
I define chivalry as selflessness and a mindset of servitude.
Okay, why would a man want to be chivalrous?
That's just a manly thing to do. And to be a gentleman.
Who defines that? Who says that that's what the man is supposed to do?
I don't know. My dad.
And my dad, but he's gone, so I don't know where it came from. No, it's just respect for women.
Why do people think that chivalry is just about basic mutual respect as opposed to a one-way servitude towards women?
Probably because it sounds a little bit selfish to say that you have to have a chivalrous man, but then you're not wanting to serve him in other ways.
Why do people believe that chivalry is dead when chivalry is still expected and practiced?
I believe that it is very hard to find, and so it feels like it's dead, but it should be still practiced, but it's far and few between.
I think women want to do whatever they want, but want men to treat them like with chivalry, but they're not treating their men that way, so they're like not being wise and acting as that to receive that kind of treatment.
Why are men expected to be chivalrous to women they don't even know?
Just good manners.
If chivalry is just about being polite, why aren't women expected to do all those same things for men?
They should be. They should be held to the same standard.
Absolutely.
It's expected that the man opens the door and stuff like that, but the man expects a woman to keep the house clean, make dinner, take care of the kids. So that would be their way of providing chivalry.
Well, I mean, do women typically, pay on the first date or take men out or, get down on one knee?
No, because I think it's the man's job in general to be a protector and to be a provider. And in my opinion, I think a woman's role, and it doesn't have to be this way all the time because there's a lot of women in great positions that are powerful in the business world as well. But in general, I think a woman's job is more of a nurturing, take care type position maybe. I don't know.
Well, I mean, women can choose to do that, but
Sure.
Is it fair to hold men to a traditional standard when women are no longer held to a traditional standard?
Sure, it is. I think so.
But that's what I'm saying. Why is it a woman can be whatever she wants, but a man is still clearly defined?
Because if you're a man, you're clearly expected to be respectful.
Why is it okay for some women to expect men to do traditional manly things like fix stuff and pay bills, but when men expect women to do traditional woman things like cook and clean, it's sexist?
I think there's 100% a double standard in the world these days. I think that women expect so high of like a man and then kind of just almost play the victim a little bit. I love women, like women support women for sure, but I always think that we should never have a double standard.
If chivalry did not exist, how would women define a gentleman or a real man?
Hardworking, passionate.
By his actions and his word.
I don't know if there would be a way to. I don't know if I would be able to define a man if he wasn't chivalrous to me. I'm not sure.
I think if you're a very strong and independent woman, it doesn't really matter because they don't expect such things. But if you do rely on that, then I guess the world would be a different place.
Why is there so much confusion in our society about what a woman is, but everyone seems to know what a real man is?
I think because the man's role has always been so constant, and within, the new roles and the way that society has changed, women they can define themselves in different ways, not just how it used to be in the world where men were the only ones who went to work and the women were the ones to stay home. So I see where that's probably the confusion.
How does chivalry work in a lesbian relationship?
That's a great question. I would not know the answer to that.
Do women expect chivalry from other women or only from men?
I don't think they expect it from other women. I wouldn't say.
So would you consider chivalry to be a female privilege?
How do you mean? Like something that we get to the privilege to have or receive?
Do women expect chivalry from other women or only from men?
I think only from men.
So would you consider chivalry to be a female privilege?
I think so.
Would you consider chivalry to be a female privilege?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What would you think about chivalry if it favored men over women?
As far as women serving men or in the way of chivalry? I feel like it would be a little weird. I don't know. The idea of protecting my better half or my male partner, I guess I could protect him, but it seems like, that would be something that would more so fall in his role, whereas I would have other things that would fall under my role.
I believe that the roles have kind of shifted or reversed, if you will, and I think it is contributed to a lot of things economically. I think that we are no longer living in a society where one household income can sustain a family, and so a lot of the burden to provide has also been put on women at this point, and we're tired. We can't do it all. We gotta cook, we gotta clean, take care of the house, and make money at the same time, so I think it's just getting a little bit muddy in the waters.
Who's more attractive, liberal or conservative men, and why?
In my opinion, a conservative man is more attractive just because, I've met a few liberal men and I don't like the way they look at things. I kind of find them to be a little bit out there and they kind of don't put the woman first, where conservative men, the ones at least I've met or dated, they're going to put you first. They're going to open doors. They're going to take care of you. They know a woman's important in the relationship, where liberal guys are kind of just, I feel like it can go either way.
When it comes to relationships, is it better to be wanted or to be needed?
I feel like it should be 50-50.
Which of the following is worse? Feminist women who don't need a man or traditional women who do need a man?
I don't need a man.
I don't need a man, but at a certain point, I think I will.
Yes. I don't know.
I'm pretty independent.
Yeah.
How is one better than the other when one wants to use men while the other thinks men are useless?
I wouldn't say that a conservative woman wants to use a man. I want to say they want the man to just fulfill his role, not use, because we're not using you. If you feel that way, you should just move on. But a liberal, a feminist woman, I would say, that's on them. That's just the way they view men. So
I don't really necessarily think it's using. I think the first one is obviously better, but I don't think that we're using them. I just think we're utilizing them just as they're utilizing us. We're the only ones that can bring children into the world, so obviously they're going to want to find a companion.
What's the difference between using and utilizing?
I don't know. Maybe they mean the same thing. I just feel like when you say using, it kind of just means there's no benefit for that other person, but when you're utilizing each other, it's just a mutual agreement that one can do things that the other one can't, and you guys just agree that it just makes your life better.
What's the difference between feminist women shaming men for being toxically masculine versus traditional women shaming men for not being masculine enough?
The difference. Okay, I think that the women who shame the men for being overly masculine, I think that they believe that they should be more in charge and that they are more independent and more want to play that role. And I think the opposite is that they expect more from men who don't provide as much.
What's the difference between feminists labeling anything they don't like as misogyny versus conservatives labeling anything they don't like as immorality?
I don't see a difference.
So aren't they both coming from a self-righteous ideology?
Yes, they are.
Why is one any more shameful than the other?
It isn't.
If conservatives preach that they believe in freedom, why do men have a duty assigned to them in the first place?
I don't know.
Dumbfounded.
I don't know.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's a double standard there.
Aren't they both coming from a self-righteous ideology?
Yes.
How are the traditional women who shame men for not being masculine enough any better than feminist women?
I don't think they are any better. I think it just depends on what the topic is and what they're upset about or what they're talking about, what the issue is.
Why is it when we talk about women's issues, it's considered the war on women, but when we talk about men's issues, it's considered the war on masculinity?
I feel like everyone kind of has a victim complex now, so they see something like that happening and everyone wants to be the victim. I feel like men are just overlooked in that area, you know?
Why wouldn't we consider it a war on men any more than we consider it a war on femininity?
Because women are fighting so hard right now to be heard, be seen, and
have an actual equal right.
Yeah.
Why are men defined by their role while women are defined by their existence?
See, I feel like men kind of were born into that. Like, they didn't really get an option. Everyone's just like, oh, you're the man, you're the breadwinner, you know?
Who defines that? Who says that that's what the man is supposed to do?
My dad.
And my dad, but he's gone, so I don't know where it came from.
Why are men only honored when they're dying or serving society?
Like I just said, they're overlooked.
I heard this thing, and my boyfriend once told me that for 95% of men or something in the world receive their first bouquet of flowers on their deathbed. So I think that's pretty crazy.
Why should men be proud of being masculine, aka disposable, or serving women?
I think it's really attractive when a guy wants to take care of everything for you and like be that lead role in your life.
Take care of you and help you out instead of have to be asked for.
Is it fair to hold men to a traditional standard when women are no longer held to their traditional standard?
I think that's a matter of opinion. Fairness is perspective as well. I would say, me personally, I don't think it's fair to expect anything of someone that you are not yourself willing to provide as well.
What is a simp?
A simp is defined as a man, typically, who will pretty much do anything for his woman because he loves her so much. But I think it's in a negative light. Like maybe he bows down a little too much.
A man will kind of like fall on his knees for a woman, kind of like beg for her. But that's my interpretation of simp.
Who is the bigger simp? A male feminist or a chivalrous white knight who believes that all women are sacred?
The white knight for sure.
A male feminist.
Why?
Because they are doing too much. Because they don't actually think that. They're trying too hard.
Isn't chivalry more likely to come from religious conservatives?
Yes, I think so. But I think that's because they were raised in a mannerly way. And I think that's why they have it more so.
So wouldn't that make conservatives the bigger simps?
I mean, probably. But simps aren't necessarily a bad thing.
What's the difference between simping and placing women on a pedestal?
That's a gray area.
I think women should be on a pedestal a little bit.
Do we believe in equality where men and women should basically... So we don't believe in equality?
No.
Okay, so then why is our society always talking about equality?
I don't know. We have to ask our society. Not in our society?
Uh-huh.
No, I think that women should be held differently than men.
So women should be above men and men should be below women?
In some aspects, yeah.
What is the justification for that?
Because I think that a woman is softer and more special as their role as a mother and as a...
But until a woman's having... Not all women choose to have kids, so if a woman... if a woman
I don't want to sit here and argue with you. Like, if you want to ask me a question, I'll give you my answer, but don't sit here and argue with me about my beliefs.
If we push conservatism, are we going to remove equal employment opportunities which prevent men from fulfilling the traditional roles they're advocating for?
No, I would hope not.
How are men supposed to be providers when they now have to compete in a job market that favors women?
That's fair. I don't really know how to answer that one. It's pretty tough because women expect a lot from their partners, but then it's hard because in a society there are women who do want to be the stay-at-home moms and stuff like that, and then there are the super independents. So how do you create jobs for both to supply where men still get them? It's hard. You can't please everybody.
I mean, it's equal opportunities now for sure compared to what it was, but there's still a role that men are expected to fill in the job force, all of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are more women stepping out and doing men's jobs, men's jobs.
If women are independent and can do it on their own, why do they still want a man to take care of them?
Because it still feels nice to feel like a feminine girl, be protected, be taken care of.
It just feels good. Like, you want someone there, like, to protect you and, like, to, like, even though, like, I'm very independent, like, I want a man that I know, like, will get in front of a train for me. Like, I can defend myself, but
Do women want to be independent while also being provided for? And if so, who's more delusional in their wants?
I believe yes, and probably the women are a little delusional, but that's just part of our charm, our spark, our flavor.
I'm delusional. I'm the definition of delusion.
Aren't both options available only to women but not men?
Yes.
Isn't that a double standard?
I mean, I like to say no. I think that's just how it kind of goes.
If conservatives hate feminism, why don't they advocate for men's rights?
I feel like we take men for granted, like a little bit, you know? They do a lot for us, and I mean, I am independent, so I like to do all that myself, but
when we have the
men do play a key part.
Yeah,
men play a key part in a woman's life, whether they know it or not.
Yeah.
Who shames male sexuality more? Feminists for labeling men as sexual predators, or religious conservatives for shaming sex outside marriage?
I think religious women shaming sex outside of marriage.
If men want purity, wouldn't that mean men have to wait until marriage? And haven't we established men shouldn't be getting married under the current laws?
I think men should be getting married under the current laws, but
Have you seen the divorce rate?
it's high. But I think that's why you should wait until marriage and wait until you find the right one to marry.
You're not going to have to worry about divorce. You're not going to have to worry about custody. Of course, you can never predict divorce and whether it's going to happen or not. But I do feel like with prayer and guidance, you will be able to find someone who you won't have to worry about those things with.
Isn't that almost the hope and faith strategy?
Absolutely. God is good.
Why is everyone pushing for traditional gender roles in marriage without first changing the laws? Have you seen the divorce rate?
Actually, Oklahoma has the highest divorce rate.
My mom probably accounts for 4 of them. If she ever sees this, I'm going to get my butt whooped.
Would you get married if it was just a religious ceremony with no government documents?
Yes. Probably will.
Yeah, I think I would. Because it's a commitment, and it's one of the hardest commitments you'll make, but it's one of the most rewarding commitments you'll make.
Does the fact that the church won't marry you without a government license violate the separation of church and state?
No, because depending on the state, if you're in a relationship living together in the same household for over 5 years, you're considered married.
That's called common law.
Yes.
You know, that's a great question, and I would have to refer to the Bible for that answer. But I do know that there is a little bit of controversy surrounding that.
Why would conservatives who say they want smaller government want the government involved in your love life to begin with?
That's also a great question. I think that there was probably some instances at one time where the government felt that they needed to step in for some reason, and it's just kind of stuck. And I think a lot of traditions happen that way. But yeah, that's a great question.
See, that's also a very conflicting thing. My boyfriend and I have always said that we'd want to get married in a church, but at the same time, the government involves themselves in literally everything else, so why would we want them to be involved in that? So that's also another conflicting topic.
If conservatives hate feminism, why don't they advocate for men's rights?
That's a good question. You would have to ask a conservative.
I don't know. I think the men should be in charge, should be the leader, but I don't think that gives women no rights.
Don't they care more about masculinity, which is about servitude?
Yes.
I think mixing masculinity and the concept of servitude is a dangerous area because they are not the same, and you don't automatically get one with the other.
So then aren't we further promoting the inequality between men and women?
Well, we are, but I think we kind of push it under the rug.
I think that it's a slippery slope, and we all got to just come together and have a good, honest conversation.
Do you believe that women were oppressed back when they were expected to be traditional, back before feminism?
I do. I think that feminism really did have a good, the intentions were good. I just think the deliverance was not. In the past, I do think that there was some inequality, but I believe now we've pretty much gotten to an even field.
If so, how are men not oppressed by holding them to a traditional standard today?
Because at the end of the day, our sexes are different. Men are men and women are women. And by God, we were designed to do different tasks as each other's helpmates.
I think men find gratitude in serving women. I know my fiance does. He loves to do the traditional manly things. So I don't think it's oppressing to do things that we were naturally born to do.
What's the difference between feminist women shaming men for being men and traditional women shaming men for not being real men?
Well, being a real man is having that kind heart. And you gotta just be able to be kind but carry out what is needed to be done.
Wouldn't the same rules apply for women?
Yeah.
So then why would men be held to a traditional standard, but a woman...
Times are changing, baby.
Well, I mean, isn't that like a...
That's true. Yeah, double standard, I guess.
Right. Well, why should men accept those terms?
That's a good, fair point.